Yeah, we don't have any banter this time. we don't have anything clever this time. It's just silence. And silence sometimes is okay. It's all right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, hey, we back. I'm Angie Hambrick, the Associate Vice President of Diversity, Justice, and Sustainability, and the Director of the Center for Gender Equity.
I am Jen Smith. I'm the Dean of Inclusive Excellence at PLU, as well as an Associate Professor of Gender, Sexuality, and Race.
Yeah, welcome back to another week of the Triple Ds.
Woohoo!
We're here, we're not eating anything, we're not drinking anything.
Nope, not eating nuts today. No.
I got water. There's nothing really to say about that.
Yeah, I got water and coffee. You know, there is something to say about water. Zac Efron, who I find enjoyable, has a new series on Netflix, which I can't remember what it is. Is it Back to Basics or something? Someone has to Google it for me. But it's on Netflix, and he actually has a show, I think it's the second one, that is about water, and that purified water is not what you want because it strips all the minerals out of water, and there are things like the water sommelier who will have you drink different kinds of water and taste it, and the water has different consistency depending on where you get it from. So yeah, there's a lot to say about water.
You know, I grew up, another Angie grew up story, but I grew up having my grandmother boil our water. We only drank boiled water, and there was a while in Milwaukee we went through like this cryptosporidian kind of thing where there was like shit living in the water and we had to boil it. And we weren't interested in like buying water or water, not because we didn't want the water bottles, but water's supposed to be free. Yep. So we always boiled our water, and I still find myself boiling water when I drink it.
Yeah. Well, and you want to, boil it to kind of kill the things that can make you poop yourself, and other things. But so you want to, like, it's not purify it, but like when I'm out backpacking, I've got like a little stick that I'll stick in my water bottle to kind of kill the stuff that could make me sick. So you want to do that, like, so, in which you can do through boiling, but you don't want to like take and strip all the minerals out of it, because you need those things in your body. So anyway, Zac Efron talks about water, and he's got some nice blue eyes. So yeah.
What you been doing besides watching on Netflix?
I've been watching Hulu as well. And so on Hulu, what I've been watching is this show called The Great. It is a satire about Catherine the Great in Russia, and it's great. It's pun intended.
It wasn't funny, so.
It really wasn't funny. But it's a fun show, and it's audacious. There's a lot of swearing, and silly, and it's fun. So I'm enjoying it. Yep. So yeah. What about you? What you been doing?
Well, if you all viewers recall, on our first episode, I was talking about my tax refund, and I hadn't got it. I had filed, I had sent it in at like the end of February, early March, and I still hadn't had it. Well, I got my tax refund on Friday.
Woo!
I'm paying bills and being responsible, and just glad that it's over. So.
You know, I often think about like taking a large check and cashing it and throwing it on a bed and rolling around in it. Because, there are all these like there are cat videos where cats are doing that.
I didn't know that.
It's fun. Yeah. Cats and cash. Google it. It pops up.
Yeah, girl, I guess we could have done a whole episode about what are we watching, really, because I am learning. Well, there isn't anything new that I'm learning about. You like cats and money. And water and hiking, but I think other folks are just learning a lot about you from your viewing. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah, I watch a lot of TV. Like it is a way to kind of sort of like turn this off a little bit, where I'm not thinking. I can just kind of like watch another person's story. I do the same with sports. I love sports. And yeah. So, yeah.
Are you one of those folks who like you watch different things all the time, or are there certain shows that you always come back to? for comfort.
Oh, there are certain shows I come back to, but I'm not, it's kind of embarrassing. So what about you? Are there some shows you come back to?
Yes, I'm not embarrassed. I always come back to Archer, which is terrible and great. Oh, I love that. I love that dumbass show. I actually watched it as I had breakfast this morning. I always go back to Archer. I always go back to the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
Saying, and I go back to the movie Clue all the time. It's really comforting to me. Like if I need to take a quick nap, I turn it on and I fall asleep instantly. It's just. Have you seen Clue?
No. No.
So good. Maybe we should watch it for one of our scary movie nights on Saturday because it's a murder mystery.
Is it scary though?
No, but it's a murder mystery.
Okay. All right. Yeah. No, it's, since you showed me yours, I'll show you mine. I watch Friends a lot when it's on. Like it's just one of those things, and it's problematic. The one that I watch, I think I'm starting to wean myself off of it more and more, but it used to be my go-to, is Sex and the City. It's so bad. I mean, it had its moment, but yeah.
Yeah, I never watched Sex and the City. I watched Friends a little bit in college because that's the thing that you did. And so every Thursday it was like Friends and then Frasier, a little bit of breaks, and then ER. Good ER days.
Yeah.
So I watched it because I was supposed to, but not because I really enjoyed it.
It's like a blanket for me. Like it's just comforting. I think part of it is because it was that college time and it's white as so of course, you have to bleep me. So of course I'm going to find that particularly comforting. But Grey's Anatomy is another one that if it's on, I'm watching it because they're just, that one I like a lot too. Yeah.
Is there a show that, so I said ER and I really want to start watching ER again. Like I want to start from the beginning where we are like introduced to George Clooney's character, the Dr. Ross. Yep. Like I want to start that over. And I just recently started rewatching the CSI, the originals.
Ooh. Huh.
I started from scratch. Okay. This is Grissom. I like Grissom a lot. So there's something, I don't know, like you said, there's something like nostalgic about it. It takes me, for me, to some really good times in college. 97 to 2002, 5 years, people, that was life. Most of them probably weren't running in my circles. That's how I used to get down.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm finding like in order to kind of not necessarily escape things, because things are still around me and things still exist, but kind of to turn things off or put things on pause, I guess. Like I want to find something that's going to bring me like some comfort and nostalgia and think about different times.
Nostalgia is a good word for it because I think, and again, I don't think that there's anything to feel guilty or bad about and wanting to kind of go remember a thing that is comfortable, since everything is so uncertain. And so like one of the shows that I go back to a lot is, God, so embarrassing, is Dawsons Creek. I have watched that from the beginning, every single episode. Those of you who don't know, you're too young, Google it, it's great. And I don't want to hear anything about it. But it's just comforting. And it's sort of silly. But again, when things are so uncertain, the things that can bring you certainty, even though I know with my, gender, sexuality, and race lens that are hyper problematic, it's okay to do those things. Yeah,
there was this, I don't know if it was controversy. I don't know if people even paid attention to it, but Golden Girls people did that. Hulu took off one episode of the Golden Girls where it was, they weren't really in blackface, but they were in blackface. So this whole episode about Dorothy's son, who's like in his 20s, is marrying this black woman in her 40s. Dorothy has an issue because the woman is older, and the woman's family, Lorraine's family has an issue because he's white. So there's this whole thing about that. But Sophie, Rose and Blanche, the side story is that they're trying to beautify themselves because I think they're going somewhere with their boyfriends for like a week. They always finding the men to take them on weekend vacations. Where are these men? Because I don't know. I don't know where they at. But so they're going through all these rituals of being cute. And one of the things that they do is they put on mud masks. And they come out of the kitchen in these mud masks when the Black people are there. And so it's kind of doing a blackface thing, but it's kind of in that gray area, and they took it off. And so it's one of those things with the shows that we love, like you were saying about Sex of the City, which I've never seen, so I cannot judge. That you kind of look back on them with these new lenses, these contemporary lenses, and say, is this problematic? Should I still like it? Because the episode is great. I'm actually upset that they took it off. Because it's a really fun episode. Yeah. And is it okay for me to be able to enjoy the episode that is semi-blackface, say, ooh, there are issues with this, but still say, damn, this is funny. Yeah. How do you kind of engage with media and the things that you love, using all the new lenses that you are starting to develop?
No, this makes me think of the podcast that we both love so much, Fanta, where they talk through these sort of complex, complicated relationships with elements of pop culture that are problematic, but that also bring pleasure. Mm-hmm. And I think there's one thing that they talk about in this podcast is that they're the anti-cancel culture podcast. And so rather than kind of chop something off and cancel it out, whether it's pop culture or a person, it's asking really deep, thoughtful questions about what's problematic, why is it problematic, why do we find enjoyment in something that's problematic, and what do we do with that? And I think there's some really rich conversations to be had there about, things that are kind of messed up, but that we still kind of enjoy, because in some ways it's like people are the same way. I mean, everybody's messed up in some way, shape, or form, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but we're really complicated. And then when you add a layer of unconsciousness to that, which that we can't always be aware of, or the subconscious, not unconscious. You
got all the jokes for yourself today, and I am sorry I'm not responding quick enough to them. That as quick as you are, but there are people out there who are just giggling with you. I just wanted to let you know.
But yeah, there's we don't even know ourselves, and so taking all of that together, to be in relationship with other individuals, you have to accept the problematic aspects about them, because you have them too. And so, and that doesn't mean that you sanction them or you approve them or you celebrate them necessarily, but you grapple with them. So yeah, or you don't cancel them. I mean, if we canceled everybody who's done something racist, sexist, ableist, classist, who would be around?
Well, and I always, see the question of like, cancel them to what end? Like, if like you when you say you want to cancel someone, is that this individual thing, or is everybody expected to cancel something so that the thing, the person, the show, whatever, isn't relevant anymore? And the reality is that in most cases, 99% of the cases, that's never going to happen, that somebody's going to be canceled completely, universally. So what does that say about me, that I still really enjoy this episode of the Golden Girls? Like, does that mean that I should be canceled because of this, this one connection that I have with the show, and something that I'm able to see kind of the nuance of it? So what does a cancel culture even mean, and to what end? And like, is it supposed to be for economic impact? Is it supposed to be so, you get the black pad, or you can be seen as down, or I don't know. I don't like the word woke, but that's the word that's coming to my mind right now.
Self-righteous.
Conscious. So to what end? To what end?
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned this, the idea of canceling, connotes an idea of erasure. Just because you cancel something doesn't mean it goes away. Mm-hmm. So rather than canceling, what does it look like to engage and to think deeply? And that's not to say that you shouldn't cancel someone who's harming you deeply or harming friends you love deeply. But it's in some ways it's a little too easy to cancel rather than engage. And especially for people in privileged positions. Yeah. So yeah, so I think there's interesting conversations we had about canceling.
You mentioned our one of our favorite podcasts, Fanta, where we borrow the honorable and dishonorable mention. And they, they talk about, your problematic faves, basically, is what it is. So what is, if you were to do a Fanta episode, what is one of your problematic faves? Like, what is something that you would want to like talk about, the fan, like they say the fan of it, and then the anti of it?
Oh, that's good. That's big. I know, because they've talked about 50 Cent. They've talked about gospel culture. God, what would I talk about? I know what it is. Oh my God. It would be bridal culture. I love Say Yes to the Dress. Like,
do you really?
I do. I watch it all the time. And it's interesting because my partner and I have chosen not to be married. We've been together 20 years. And I am a sucker for wedding dresses. Like, I don't know what it is. And like all of bridal culture, yeah, I think that's what I would talk about. I do an entire episode on bridal culture.
I have to say I was a bridesmaid probably about 10 years ago now, and I really enjoyed like going dress shopping with her, and then like I planned her bachelorette party in Vegas, and that was really fun. Like, there are parts of it that were great, but then I took Jen's like intro to, I think it was her intro class.
Gender, sexuality, and culture, the IHON class.
IHON class, and I had to, one of my projects was like planning my own wedding, and I saw how expensive it is to plan like this basic ass wedding. And this was all pretend, but it was just like, is this how I would want to spend my money? And again, to what end and for who? So
yeah, I think I'd want to unpack that a little bit. So yeah, I think that would be my Fanta. That and my love of Cypress Hill, and that's all we're gonna say about that. So
better work. Oh, look at all onion.
I love me some Cypress Hill. When I was in the Center for Gender Equity and no one was in the house, I would blare that at the top and just start jumping around in the office. Like, sometimes you just need some Cypress Hill. That's it. Yeah. So what about you? What Fanta episode would you do?
They already did a Snoop Dogg episode, but I had some feelings about Snoop, but then him and DMX did a versus, and it was the greatest versus of all time. It was so good because Snoop is like the sound of like my middle school, high school days. That's like prime Snoop. And he is I unfollowed him for a while on Instagram. I didn't cancel him because I was still listening to Doggy Style. After the verses, I'm like, I need to get back with Uncle Snoop because he's a problematic fave. And also Amazon, because I love the convenience and the accessibility of items on Amazon is just, I got my Prime, I can watch my videos, I can get my things in the mail the next day. Yeah. And I know I need to be supporting local bookstores and local, carriers of things. But I love the convenience of it. I can find anything on Amazon, anything. And I'm usually guaranteed to get it in less than 3 days. Yeah. Whereas I ordered from a local bookstore, it's like my tax returns. I ordered from a local bookstore 3 months ago, and I'm still waiting on one of the books. So, like, and I know, I know capitalism. Like, I know, but
you said capitalism like it was hallelujah.
That was supposed to be the angry face.
All right. So, given our love of Fanta and that show, we're going to continue to borrow with much respect and love. Their honorable, dishonorable mentions. So, who's your honorable mention today?
Boozy brunches. Boozy brunches.
Yeah.
we miss them. We love you. We miss going into the bar and sitting there for like 5 hours and just drinking and maybe eating, but drinking. So this past weekend, a group of us who were very responsible with our physical distance and our sanitizers and all the cleaning. But we had a boozy brunch in my backyard, and
we did.
Dope. It was so much fun. It was so much fun.
It was, yep. That's my honorable mention. And it's also the boozy brunch, but Nicole Jordan, she cooked her butt off. It was amazing. It was so good, and there were liters of champagne. Yeah, it was all right. It was good. Yeah, it was awesome. So
and,
yeah.
I mean, the drinking part was great because, you know, mimosas can go down real smooth, but it was also just kind of saying that we were having a boozy brunch and kind of what that connotates for us. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Sure. And what that means and how it like changes the way that you interact with each other and the setting, and it was so much fun.
Yeah. That was rest as resistance. It was 5 hours. I was there for 5 hours, and I had to go and get some work done. But it was 5 hours of drinking, hanging, and eating, and it was great. So yeah. There is still joy in this pandemic world. Yeah. Speaking of not joyful things, dishonorable mentions. Who you got?
People who don't ask follow-up questions. So there's this HBO, what's his name? Jonathan Swan did this interview with Trump that was on HBO, and HBO was like, this shit is too good. We have to let all of y'all be able to see it. And like Jonathan Swan, the reporter, is like getting all these props because he asked follow-up questions. So when Trump would say something, he would be like, well, what do you mean? What books? Where are the manuals at? No, this chart, this is not what I mean. Blah, blah. Like he would ask a follow-up question after follow-up question. And even though he didn't necessarily get an answer, at least he was saying like, this shit isn't sitting well with me, or is incorrect, or I need to learn more. So when did we become a place that to ask a follow-up question is like revolutionary and strange and out of the ordinary? Like, why aren't we trying to asking questions and follow-up questions to understand? Like, when did that become something that we just don't do? And when somebody does it, they're allowed it as like hero. So ask your damn follow-up questions if there's something that you don't understand.
No, that's great. And I wonder if not asking follow-up questions is that people don't want to be confrontational or like open up conflict. That's fine. Conflict is okay, people. Like, it's fine. It doesn't mean that you hate another person to ask a follow-up question for clarification or for curiosity's sake. Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Who you not feeling right now?
Oh, Ted Cruz.
What do you do now?
Oh,
what did you do?
You're a trash Ted Cruz. That's all I'm going to say. He went after Oprah because Oprah had the audacity to say that white privilege is an advantage. And he said that he was sick of Oprah lecturing on race, and that what she said around white privilege was, again, in quotes, or as my mom does, quotes, utter racist BS. I just can't. Ted Cruz, go, whatever. Like, yeah.
Right.
So.
Yeah. No time for nonsense.
No. Yeah, nonsense. So, all right, that's who I'm after today.
All right. Well, as you always, shout out to our producer, Thomas Two Names, and our friends over in marketing communication for giving us a platform to just talk to each other, basically. Yep. This is our second to last show, folks. So next week will be our signing off. So you should really tune in, because there is no telling what kind of debauchery and you're gonna catch on this last show.
It's true. We have promised like a show where we just kind of like let it out. That might have to happen. Yeah.
We'll see. At least the second show. We'll see.
Yeah.
Get ready with the buzzer, Thomas. Start doing your finger exercises now. Bye.
Trash. Ted Cruz trash. Okay.
Bye.